Genesis 41 1 to 57. Genesis 41 1. And it come to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river. Genesis 41 2. And behold, there come up out of the river 7 well-favored kine and fed lust, and they fed in a meadow. Genesis 41 3. And behold, 7 other kine come up after them out of the river, ill-favored and lean-fleshed, and stood by the other kine upon the brink of the river. Genesis 41 4. And the ill-favored and lean-fleshed kine did eat up the 7 well-favored and fed kine. So Pharaoh awoke. Genesis 41 5. And he slept and dreamed the second time, and behold, 7 years of corns come up upon one stalk, rank and good. Genesis 41 6. And behold, 7 thin years and blessed with the east wind sprung up after them. Genesis 41 7. And the 7 thin years devoured the 7 rank and full years. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. Genesis 41 8. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt, and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was none that could interpret them unto Pharaoh. Genesis 41 9. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my fault these days. Genesis 41 10. Pharaoh was wroth with his servants, and put me in ward in the captain of the guard's house, both me and the chief baker. Genesis 41 11. And we dreamed a dream in one night, I and he. We dreamed each man according to their interpretation of his dream. Genesis 41 12. And there was there with us a young man, an Hebrew, servant to the captain of the guard. And we told him and interpreted to us our dreams. To each man according to his dream he did interpret. Genesis 41 13. And it came to pass, as he interpreted to us, so it was, me he restored unto mine office, and him he hanged. Genesis 41 14. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon. And he saved himself, and changed his raiment, and came in unto Pharaoh. Genesis 41 15. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of thee, that thou canst understand a dream to interpret it. Genesis 41 16. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. Genesis 41 17. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, In my dream, behold, I stood upon the bank of the river. Genesis 41 18. And behold, there come up out of the river 7 kine, fat-fleshed and well-favored, and they fed in a meadow. Genesis 41 19. And behold, 7 other kine come up after them, poor and very ill-favored and lean-fleshed, such as I never saw in all the land of Egypt for badness. Genesis 41 20. And the lean and the ill-favored kine did eat up the first 7 fed kine. Genesis 41 21. And when they had eaten them up, it could not be known that they had eaten them, but they were still ill-favored, as at the beginning. So I awoke. Genesis 41 22. And I saw in my dream, and behold, 7 years come up in one stalk, full and good. Genesis 41 23. And behold, 7 years with thread thin and blessed with east wind sprung up after them. Genesis 41 24. And the thin years devoted the 7 good years. And I told this unto the magicians, but there was none that could declare it to me. Genesis 41 25. And Joseph said unto Pharaoh, The dream of Pharaoh is one. God hath shewed Pharaoh what he is about to do. Genesis 41 26. The 7 good kine are 7 years, and the 7 good years are 7 years. The dream is one. Genesis 41:27. And the seventh time and ill-favored kind that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty years blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. Genesis 41:28. This is the thing which I spoken unto Pharaoh. What God is about to do, he saith unto Pharaoh. Genesis 41:29. Behold, there came 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt. Genesis 41:30. And there shall arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land. Genesis 41:31. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by the reason of the famine following, for it shall be very grievous. Genesis 41:32. And for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice, it is because the things is established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. Genesis 41:33. Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Genesis 41:34. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officer over the land, and take up the fifth part of the land of Egypt in the 7th plenteous year. Genesis 41:35. And let them gather all the food of those good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. Genesis 41:36. And that food shall be forestalled to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land preach not through the famine. Genesis 41:37. And the things was good in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of all his servants. Genesis 41:38. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, Can we find such a one as this man is, a man in whom the Spirit of God is? Genesis 41:39. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, For as much as God hath shewed thee of this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Genesis 41:40. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy words shall all my peoples be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. Genesis 41:41. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, See, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. Genesis 41:42. And Pharaoh took off his rings from his hand, and put it upon Joseph's hand, and added him in ventures of fine linen, and put a gold chain upon his neck. Genesis 41:43. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had, and they cried before him, bow the knee, and he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. Genesis 41:44. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. Genesis 41:45. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Chephnath-Paneah, and he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, and Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt. Genesis 41:46. And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh, and went throughout all the land of Egypt. Genesis 41:47. And in the 7th plenteous year the earth brought forth by handfuls. Genesis 41:48. And he gathered up all the foods of 7 years which were in the field of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities, the food of the field which was round about every cities laid he up in the same. Genesis 41:49. And Joseph gathered corn as the sand of the sea, very much, until he left numbering, for it was without number. Genesis 41:50. And unto Joseph were born 2 sons before the year of famine came, which Asenath the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, bare unto him. Genesis 41:51. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God, said he, had made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. Genesis 41:52. And the name of the second called he Ephraim, for God had caused me to be fruitful in the land of affliction. Genesis 41:53. And the 7 years of the plenteousness that was in the land of Egypt were ended. Genesis 41:54. And the 7 year of dearth began to come, according as Joseph had said, and the dearth was in all the lands, but in all the lands of Egypt there was bread. Genesis 41:55. And when all the lands of Egypt were famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, Go unto Joseph, what he said to you, do. Genesis 41:56. And the famine was over all the face of the earth, and Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians, and the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. Genesis 41:57. And all countries came into Egypt to Joseph for buy corns, because that the famine was so sore in all the lands.